Okay, we're in section 15, the rational expressions, basically fractions or ratio polynomial. In this section, what we're doing is certainly trying to simplify a rational expression. That's one thing we'd like to be able to do. We certainly covered this in lecture. I want to point out for those students that need additional support beyond lecture, you can watch these little spot videos here. And also want to encourage you, maybe going to other websites, including Khan Academy, to watch that material as well. You want to learn the material, all right? We're going to talk about multiplications and division as well. And then we go to a bunch of examples, all right? So I'm hoping that you've paid attention and you're willing to pay more attention to examples, but at some point you want to get busy working problems on your own. But first, let's do a show and tell of what we're expected to see in those homework questions. So I'm going to switch to the whiteboard now. Give me a second to do so. And I'll be doing one question at a time. All right, let me repeat this. If I go too quickly, you can always watch these things off schedule. I would recommend, if you go quickly, try to pay attention. All right, let's take a look at the first problem. And I'm going to look at it. And I'm going to write down what they want me to do. And again, you might be quicker at this, but the bottom line is I want to see what happens over here. It says, given the following function, I see it. They want me to find f of minus 2. Well, this really goes back to the beginning of the semester. What I would recommend you do is parenthesize the variable in the problem. I know that seems very tedious to do that. We're recommending it. I'm parenthesizing the variable in the problem. And now I'm going to plug in the value of the variable, which is minus 2. What do you get there? Well, on top you would get minus 5, very simple arithmetic. And on bottom you get minus 4 minus 1, which is minus 5. What's minus 5 divided by minus 5? It's 1. Look at the key, and hopefully you see the same answer there. All right. Now, number 2 is domain. I want to point out this level of the game, domain is generally pretty easy to do. And what we normally do is for domain of the thing, we say, oh, any x is okay. So any x is okay. And the way we do that, we say x could be any real number. That's a Blackboard R, by the way. But however, there is some trouble. And I want to point out what that trouble is. The trouble is there any numbers that would cause the division by 0? Are there any numbers that would cause the division by 0? And there is. What's that number? Minus 5. So minus 5 is a very dangerous number. So I need to exclude it. And I would say x can't be minus 5. So again, all real numbers except minus 5. What do they got over here? All real numbers, x can't be minus 5. All right, let's do the next one, number 3. And again, I'm going to say x can be any real number. Here's my problem though. The bottom, is it ever equal to 0? Well, let's write this down. 3x plus 5, x minus 3, is it ever equal to 0? And these are the danger numbers. All right, looking at it, what do I see? 3x plus 5 equals 0. And the other one is x minus 3 equals 0. And these are very dangerous. What do you get here? 3x equals minus 5. And if I divide both sides by 3, I get minus 5/3. That can't come in. I'll write this down now. X cannot be minus 5/3. Why is that? It would cross a division by 0. What's the other number? Well, 3. 3 can't come in either. Why is that? Division by 0. All right, let me just check it. All the real numbers, that's what that means over there. X can't be minus 5/3, and it can't be 3. All right, fairly simple. All right, that's a domain. All right, domain is something that's pretty important. At this stage of the game, though, domain is, well, we can't divide by 0. All numbers are okay except division numbers by 0. All right. All right, let's look at this one over here. And one step at a time. And what am I going to do over here? Well, I'm going to write down, oops, sorry about that, the factorization of the top and the factorization of the bottom. Well, the top factor is to be x minus 3. You can check that. That would give you x squared minus 3x. And the bottom factors, 2x minus 3. I want to point out the factors on top are x and x minus 3. The factors on bottom are 2 and x minus 3. Well, what do I notice immediately? These factors cancel off. And what are you left off with? X, whoops, sorry about that. You're left off with X over 2. Again, I want to recommend you look at the key. All right, let's do the next one. And again, the goal here is factor, factor, factor. I'm going to factor the top and I'm going to factor the bottom. What do you get? X and X. Let's see, 8 and 1 plus 8 minus 1. Let's see if that works out. You get X squared. 8 minus 1 is 7X. Looks pretty good. You get minus 8. Looks great. Let's go to the bottom. These problems are written to work. 1 and 7. Let's see, minus 1 plus 7. Let's see if that works. You get X squared. 7 minus 1 is 6X. Yeah, it worked out beautifully. What do I notice then? Immediately, there's a factor in the top and in the bottom. It's identical. So we left off with X plus 8 over X plus 7. Look at the key. All right, let's do number 6. Should be relatively simple. It follows the same pattern over and over again. Factor the top, factor the bottom. 3X, and what do you get there? X squared minus 4. I'm going to factor the bottom now. 6X. What's left off there? Let's put this down. X squared minus 4X plus 4. All right. By the way, I can still factor, and I'm going to factor until I can't factor anymore. 3X, X plus 2, X minus 2. The bottom, 6X, X and X, minus 2, minus 2. Let's see if that works. You get X squared. Yeah, it worked out beautifully. All right, let's go through the problem and do our reductions. All right. Now 3 goes into 3 once, but it goes into 6 2 times. X goes into X once, goes into X once. X minus 2 is a factor at top and bottom. It's an identical factor. What are you left off with now? And let's be very careful about that. On top, you got a bunch of 1s. That's all those red slashes mean. So it's just X plus 2 on top. And we're left with on bottom. Well, looking at the number 2's there and X minus 2. This is a fine answer. If you want, you can multiply it out. It's not making it wrong or right. It's just some people have a preference for that. X plus 2, 2X minus 4. It's also 100% acceptable. Let's look at the key, see what they have written down, and they have that answer written down. All right. Let's look at number 7. Number 7 is a multiplication problem. And I want to point out, I don't do it, but some teachers try to trick the students. I'm not really think they're tricking them, but they won't say simplify. Instead, they'll say multiply. I think that would be a big mistake for students to multiply at this stage over here. Because really what my goal is to factor the problem. Now someone says it's way too much factoring. There's 4 things to factor. Well, let's factor one at a time. 8X minus 12 will factor into 4. 2X minus 3. The bottom, a 7 pulls out. It's a GCF. 2X plus 1 times. All right, what do you get there? 42 and 21. 21 times 2X plus 1. And what do you get? Well, looking at 32 and 48, and I know from experience people who trip up in this, I'm going to say 16. 2X minus 3. Now, before I go crazy with it, I want to point out there are a lot of factors immediately that are identical on top and the bottom. For example, 2X minus 3, 2X minus 3, 2X plus 1, 2X plus 1. Now, I'm left with a bunch of numbers, and certainly I'm not opposed to multiplying them, but I still want to reduce it. And I'm seeing something. 7 goes into 7 once, and it goes into 21 3 times. 4 goes into 4 once, and it goes into 16 4 times. All right, what are you left off with? On top, all those red slashes mean 1, but you got 3 there, so it's 3. On bottom, what do you see? All those red slashes mean the number 1, but you do see the number. So that's my answer, 3/4. By the way, that may be conditional. We're not worried about the conditions though. It's 3/4. What do you mean by conditional? It's not always 3/4, but we're not worried about when it's not 3/4. All right, we're just reducing. All right, let's go to number 8. Oh boy, that doesn't look good. I want to emphasize this again. We don't give you things you can't do. It's just not going to happen, right? Be encouraged by that. Say if he says I can do it, I can do it. Now someone's going to say, if I were really nasty, I would tell you to multiply this. I want you to multiply it. I want you to simplify it by factoring it. And by the way, if there's any multiplications at the end, I'll do them. But right now, I'm thinking maybe I could factor this. So what am I doing? I'm factoring x squared plus 2x minus 35. This guy right over here. I got to tell you, that looks pretty easy to do. And I'm believing it's going to work. I'm going to say 7 and 5 plus 7 minus 5. It's easy to say something that's not true, though. I want to verify it. X times x is x squared. 7 minus 5 is 2x. And I do get minus 35. I'm going to factor the bottom now. And what do you get? X and x. And 21, I'm going to say 3 and 7. And what do you get? Plus 7 minus 3. Again, I'm going to check it. X times x, x squared. 7 minus 3 is 4x. And I do get minus 21. Let's keep moving. Okay. So what are you doing now? I'm going to factor this guy. It's got to be easy. X and x. Let's see, 18. I'm going to say 6 and 3. Again, it's easy to say things. Let's see if it's true. X times x, x squared. 6 minus 3, 3x minus 18. Let's do the bottom now. Again, I believe it's going to be easy. Let's see, 18. I'm going to say 6 and 3 again. This time plus plus. Let's check it. Again, it's easy to say things. Oh, it's true. What's x times x? X squared. 6 and 3 is 9x. That works beautifully. And you get 18. What am I going to do now? Well, I'll be honest with you. It's might be tough, but I'm going to look at it. And I go left to right. And I want to point out what I'm looking at. I'm seeing x minus 5. Well, you know what? I don't see any factors in the bottom that says x minus 5. Let's look at x plus 7. Do I see a factor of x plus 7 on the bottom? I do. I'm going to cancel that now. Let me keep moving left to right. I'm looking at x minus 3. Do I see a factor of x minus 3 in the bottom? And I do. It's over here. Let's keep moving. X plus 6. I see a factor of x plus 6 over here. I'm going to cancel it. Remember, all those slashes mean the number 1. What are you left off with? Well, on top, you're left off with x minus 5. On bottom, you're left off with x plus 3. Is that the answer they got? It is, and that's good news. All right, let's go to number 9. And again, there'll be problems for you to try on your own. I'm going to write this down, not as a division problem, but again, a lot of teachers might say divide. I still want to rely upon what I know about factoring. Well, the first guy here is already factored. I know the factor is 4, x squared, y cubed. And that bottom is 15, a squared, b cubed. I'm going to write this as a multiplication problem. In essence, I'm factoring it. It's going to be reciprocal, 5, a cubed, b5, and you get 6, x, y. All right, I'm going to look at the problem. And I'll be honest with you, the way I'm looking at this thing over here, I'm just going to be looking at numbers first. Then I'm going to do letters in alphabetical order, but everything's a factor. 4 is a factor, x squared is a factor, y cubed is a factor, 5 is a factor, a cubed is a factor, b5 is a factor. Same thing on the bottom, everything's a factor. Let's do one thing at a time. 5 goes into 5 once, and it goes into 15 3 times. All right, 2 goes into 4 2 times, and it goes into 6 3 times. So I'm going to write the number I'm looking at. And the number on top is going to be 2. The number on bottom is 3 times 3, which is 9. Right. Now I'm going to go through the letters in the problem. And I want to concentrate on one letter at a time. This one. Now, what do I see? 3 factors of A on top, 2 on bottom, 2 would cancel off, and I'd be left with 1 factor of A on top. Now what am I going to do? I'm going to go to B's. I like to go in alphabetical order. What do you see? 5 factors of B on top, 3 factors of B on bottom, 3 would cancel off. I'd be left off with 2 factors of B on top. Now I'm going to go to the X's. Again, I'm going in alphabetical order. What do I see? 2 factors of X on top, 1 on bottom. Certainly 1 would cancel off. I'm left off with 1 on top. Last but not least, the Y's. And what do you see? 3 factors on top, 1 on bottom, 1 cancels off. You're left off with 2, which is Y squared. All right, let's look at the key. 2ab squared xy squared over 9. Perfect. All right. Okay, let me repeat this. You might say, oh, gee, I got it. I don't need to do any more work. I got it. You don't have it until you try and practice. That's when you're going to get it. All right, you got to practice. All right, so I'm going to put this over here. Homework. Make sure you do it. You're going to do problem number 1. They give you the question and they give you the answer. The answers are in the blue area. Number 2, they give you the question. The answers are going to be in the blue area. All right. At the end of the week, when everything settles down, I will be posting my version of how I do the homework. And it shouldn't take long to get through it, but you need to practice. The little practice you put in, it really has no payoff. You've got to put in a lot of practice. And I'm hoping you're willing to do that. Again, if you need additional help, please feel free to come by during office hours. I'll be more than happy to help you.